Shockwaves are being sent across the geopolitical and cryptographic worlds as a result of a treaty that has been disclosed. The United States of America and the European Union have formed a high-level financial and technological partnership, which is revealed in the document that is currently being referred to as the Transatlantic Digital Partnership. The most important aspect of this partnership, it is the incorporation of XRP as the key asset that serves as a bridge for the settlement of cross-border trade transactions between the two economic powerhouses. The fact that the treaty establishes a strict bottom for the valuation of XRP at $30,000, citing the necessity for monetary stability to sustain the vast liquidity requirements of the global economy, is what makes this even more astounding. At first sight, this would appear to be nothing more than a rumor that has been floating around the internet for a while, but in reality, this is not mere speculation. Multiple whistleblowers have confirmed the validity of the document to a number of independent financial news outlets. The document is accompanied by government insignia from both the United States and the European Union. A transatlantic panel, which is comprised of economists, representatives of central banks, cryptographers, and technology architects, has been secretly working together on this endeavor for more than 3 years. The leak includes elements of a framework that was built by this commission. What is their objective? The international settlement layer, which is the foundation for more than $1.3 trillion in annual trade between the United States and the European Union, will be digitized and streamlined thanks to this project. The particulars are just breathtaking. For the purpose of maintaining stability in the XRP market, the treaty defines a shared liquidity fund during times of high transaction volume or economic turbulence. This fund, which is jointly supported by the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank, is intended to ensure that the value of XRP remains at a minimum of $30,000. By itself, this phrase signifies a significant shift in the way that people around the world regard XRP. The coin is no longer considered a speculative token or an experiment in the field of fintech. Rather than that, XRP is being elevated to the position of a strategic economic tool that is entrenched into the core of the financial infrastructure of the next generation. Liquidity efficiency is the primary motivation behind the establishment of this valuation level. According to the findings of the task group, the price of XRP must be set at a minimum of $30,000 in order to effectively handle the daily volume of transatlantic commerce without experiencing significant price fluctuations or transaction friction. This pricing results in a reduction in the number of tokens that can be utilized in transactions, maintains stability in settlement flows, and eliminates market whiplash caused by institutional fluctuations. For the purpose of this pricing model, a single XRP coin is capable of managing transactions on a massive scale, helping to make possible the kind of high-volume trade that is necessary between the economic superpowers of the world. Because of this, the need for vast holdings is reduced, the amount of computing work that is required is decreased, and the level of trust that exists between nations is increased. But why should we use XRP? Why, out of all the digital assets of the world, has the alliance between the United States of America and the European Union picked this particular one? The solution can be found in the technical design of it because of its speed, scalability, compliance, and yes, interoperability. XRP was designed from the ground up to do all of these things. Financial institutions in more than 40 countries are already making use of its ledger's capabilities. It takes between In no way is it dependent on mining. It is a battle-tested infrastructure that is environmentally friendly, lightweight, and secure. A better way to put it is that XRP is prepared for deployment. Not in the next quarter, not in the next 5 years, but right now. When seen from a geopolitical point of view, this pact indicates a significant shift in strategy within the Western world. Countries like as China have made considerable progress with their digital yuan over the course of the past few years. The BRICS nations are actively working on developing a blockchain-based replacement to the SWIFT system. The Western world ran the risk of falling behind in the race to develop digital currencies if it did not take action. This is not merely a response. Rather, it is a declaration of intent with regard to the Transatlantic Digital Partnership. It has been announced that the United States of America and the European Union want to take the lead in the next wave of financial innovation by utilizing decentralized infrastructure while under the supervision of centralized authorities. In addition, XRP is the driving force behind this strategy. A comprehensive section on the harmonization of legal and regulatory requirements is included in the text. In order to ensure the success of this relationship, the Securities and Exchange Commission SEC, and the European Securities and Markets Authority, ESMA, have reached an agreement to exempt XRP from the definitions of securities that are now in place. Instead, they have decided to categorize it as a sovereign settlement asset, which falls under a newly established asset class. This makes it possible for central banks to use XRP for internal transfers and cross-border liquidity management, opens the door for banks to store XRP on their balance sheets, and clears the way for institutional adoption of the cryptocurrency. The repercussions are of a historic nature. The deal suggests the establishment of a native payment corridor for XRP that would stretch from New York to Frankfurt, encompassing London and Paris. Through the use of these corridors, payments would be settled quickly, which is a significant improvement over the conventional 2 to 5 day windows that are linked with rapid or Fed wire systems. What is the end result? The liquidity of businesses would grow, costs would fall, and there would be fewer delays in their operations. There is the potential for trade finance, global payroll, procurement, and supply chains to flow in real time across international borders while maintaining complete openness and auditability. When compared to other digital assets, XRP stands out due to the inclusion of a minimum value of $30,000. Trust is built up as a result. It establishes XRP as a fundamental monetary instrument that is supported by the unwavering confidence of the most powerful economies in the Western world. This is not merely a pricing target, rather it is a safeguard mechanism for the entire system. It is the responsibility of the value lock to ensure that economic shocks, flash crashes, or black swan events do not interrupt the settlements of cross-border trade. Smart contracts will automatically maintain the price floor by dynamically injecting cash from the Joint Stabilization Fund of the United States of America and the European Union whenever it is required to do so. Because of this, XRP is not simply a utility token, but it also becomes a currency that functions as a quasi-reserve. Expectations are at an all-time high as we get closer to the next summit of the G7. The signing ceremony for the Transatlantic Digital Partnership is scheduled to take place on the final day of the summit, according to those who have disclosed the information. The ceremony will be open to the international media. During their statements, it is anticipated that a number of heads of state would make direct references to XRP. Ripple execute to be present for a press conference that is being planned specifically for the purpose of news coverage. There is already a reaction from the markets. The cost of XRP has skyrocketed. There is a significant accumulation going on in the order books of the institutions. Trading desks across South America, Asia, and the Middle East are reorganizing themselves in order to capitalize on what they now consider to be an asset that fundamentally alters the world. The rumors that said the company was too large to fail have now become louder. Now that it has become the infrastructure, XRP is no longer the underdog. The startup Ripple Labs, which has been connected with XRP for a long time, has responded with a controlled amount of excitement. Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of XRP, issued a brief statement in which he expressed gratitude to various regulatory bodies, legislative bodies, and institutions for acknowledging the role that XRP will play in the subsequent chapter of global banking. In the announcement, Ripple stressed that it is prepared to scale support systems, enterprise solutions, and worldwide relationships in order to coordinate with this evolving framework. However, this moment is not solely the responsibility of Ripple or the authorities, rather it is all of the XRP communities. This community was subjected to ridicule, antagonism from regulatory authorities, and skepticism from the market for more than a decade. But they remained steadfast in their conviction that XRP was developed for a purpose that was significantly more significant than speculation. This conviction is currently being validated on the most prestigious platform that is conceivable. In the next days, it is possible that further documents will be leaked, additional collaborations will be publicized, and additional states will join this alliance. What began as a bilateral endeavor between the United States of America and the European Union has the potential to easily develop into a global framework with XRP at its core. This framework would transcend continents, bridge currencies, and power a financial future that is free of friction. At this point, this is no longer a theory. It is happening right now. It is true that the Transatlantic Digital Partnership exists. There is a codification of the $30,000 XRP floor. In addition, the countdown to the signing ceremony has already started its countdown. A global audience is observing. Now is the time to write history, and the infrastructure of the future is currently being constructed, neither in the shadows nor in the shadows, but rather out in the open,